Good afternoon. I am Tanikka Price, and I'm with the Central Ohio Pathways Hub, which is a part of Health Impact Ohio. I'm so proud today to have Will Brown here. We are going to have a dialogue, conversation, and hope you learn something from our conversation that we're going to have. So, if you could just take a few minutes and introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay. My name is Will Brown. I'm obviously a community health worker. I live in Cleveland, Ohio. I've been here for the last 20 years, and I have an associate's degree in human services. And I work for Care Alliance Health Center, which is a FQHC here in Cleveland. We have 3 offices with a 4th office getting ready to start. And so I work with diverse populations, and I use a whole lot of my own learned experience to assist me in my work, along with, of course, the professional protocols and standards that comes along with being a community health worker.
So, to start out, can you tell me a little bit about what does it mean for you to be a community health worker, for you to represent your community?
Well, it's an honor and a privilege because I once was the client, and I remember what it was like being the client. The fear, the confusion, the pressure that laid upon me to try to impress the person that was working with me. And whenever I would fail at any of my goals, let's say some of my struggles in the area of addiction, let's just say I had a relapse or something like that, I remember how disappointed I would be. And so when I work with other people, I remember that. I try to put myself across from myself, and just remember that anything they say that may sound off, it's as a result of the pressure that's on them, because regardless of whatever's going on with them, at the end of the day, they're still a human being. And so to be able to help a lot of the people I help, I actually know, because when I was getting high, I got high downtown. And so a lot of the clients that come in Care Alliance are people that I actually know or I've seen around. So it's quite fun.
So, what motivated you to pursue a career as a community health worker?
Prior to February, I did not know what February of this year, I didn't know what a community health worker was. When I got sober, I went to school to be a chemical dependency counselor. And to be quite frank about it, I think I started working in that field too early in my recovery. And I kind of burned myself out. I was taking work home with me and so forth and so on. And so I ended up taking a 3-year break. And after about 3 years, I reached out to my old counselor, who actually ended up being the person that trained me in chemical dependency counseling when I did my internship. And I had a long conversation with her about, did she think that I was ready to come back into the field of helping people? And I put in an application at another agency, actually, to be in that field. And just on a humbug, I applied for a community health worker position at Care Alliance. I thought it was pretty much the same thing. And I found out it was quite different. And it had motivated me to work in the field of public health as opposed to working in the field of substance abuse recovery, because I get to use all my skills instead of just one. I get to work with people that they may not be suffering from drug problems or addiction problems. They may just be suffering from mental health, or just being poor and not being able to have the things they need. So I guess you could say I accidentally fell into this field. And in the process of working at Care Alliance, I was selected as one of the CHWs that would be a part of the Care Coordination System Hub here in Cleveland. And I was told after I finished the training that I needed certification. They said you had to be a nurse. You had to either be a nurse, a LSW, or you had to be a certified CHW. I didn't even know it was such thing as a certification. And so that's how I ended up in the class.
Well, we've been really happy to have you in the class. One of the things, the reason why we're interviewing you today is because of how much you interact in the class and how much you share and your transparency, which I believe is a big part of being a successful CHW. So, as part of that transparency, you told us about your disability. Would you mind sharing with our audience about your disability? And do you feel like working with a disability has built your resilience?
I have what's known as severe to profound hearing loss in both ears. I've had it since I was a little boy. And ironically, um, it falls right into what I do now because I grew up in a very rural area in Alabama, and my parents weren't that educated. So when I was about 4 or 5 years old, I kept complaining about my throat being sore. And long story short, they did what they knew. They gave me tea, they gave me chloroseptic spray, they gave me Socret drop, and my throat never stopped hurting. And after about a month or so, I started getting a lot of whippings because my parents were saying, well, he's ignoring us. Little did we know that I had tonsillitis, and it spread to my adenoids and it spread to my ears and did a whole lot of nerve damage. And so, and they felt so bad when they finally found out what it was. But I'm able to look back at that now with what I know and see the social determinants of health in full force. The financial piece, um, the disparities, because I was a black kid coming from a poor family, the doctors probably could have caught it way ahead of time, but they didn't even think to do so. Um, and so I've had this disability for years, well, all my life, you might as well say. I'm 46 years old, 41 years like this. It's me. I went through a lot in my life due to this. I remember getting bullied when I first got my hearing aids. And once again, I'm able to reverse that now. I think it makes me better. It makes me better at helping other people because I know what it's like to struggle through a disability. And I get that answer to the second part of the question. Yes, it did build resilience because I've always went with an uphill battle. Um, having this hearing problem, there's a speech impediment that comes with it. And so many people that I've encountered in my professional and personal life tend to kind of like just glance over me. You know, they appear to be surprised when they realize that I'm actually intelligent and can be articulate when I want to. Um, and they don't know how much of a struggle that is. But dealing with all those things, I think it's another tool in my bag that helps me help other people.
Yeah, and that leads me right to my next question. Speaking of tools in your bag, can you speak specifically about how overcoming addiction, how that enables you to really reach that population? What skills has that given you as a CHW?
Well, um, I went to treatment 17 times. And a that adding up the times that the court sent me and I left. That added up the time that I maybe went somewhere like the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center and stayed for a couple days. So yeah, I had 17 treatment episodes, and I met a lot of people in the process. Um, and one thing that I've said this to lots of people, my significant other and people I meet in life, that I probably could have gotten and stayed sober way before I did. But I was when I would sober up, I would get very judgmental. I would actually look down on the people who I had just left. I finally learned humility through a lot of pain, and so that keeps me centered when I'm dealing with people that I meet in the field, especially people with addiction problems. Because what I've learned is when a person really gets tired of getting high and the consequences that come with it, they'll do something about it. Until then, it's nothing I can do or say. And so all I can do is really just be silent support, you know. But I understand today that what we in our field in the professional world look at as problems are actually solutions to our client. And our job is to help them find other solutions, you know, uh, and help them to recognize that what was working to help you deal with whatever's going on with you is now a problem. So yes, I think overcoming addiction one day at a time um, allowed me to have patience and unconditional love when I deal with the population that I deal with.
Now, it's no surprise to anybody who's listening that you've been recognized at your job. Tell us a little bit about the recognition that you recently got so that everybody who's listening can applaud and know that hard work really does pay off. Tell us about what happened to you recently at work.
Um, well, I got selected as Employee of the Month at my job, um, and it came as a surprise, actually. Because I can be rather outspoken. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Um, and some of that comes from my brutal honesty about my own self. Um, but yeah, they tricked me. They called me to the office like I was in trouble, and they told me that I had been selected as an Employee of the Month.
Good. Well, congratulations. We're really proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what are your future goals? What do you want to do on the other side of this certification? And how do you feel like this certification class is going to help you achieve those future goals?
Um, well, my number one goal as a man is to always be able to take care of my family. And so having a professional certification, um, well, human resources tend to give you a little bit more money. So that's one piece. I realize I will always have some skills that will allow me to take care of my woman and my children. And I'm also getting ready to finish another degree, hopefully in December. My job stepped in and they're footing the bill for me to get another piece for my toolbox, for which I'm forever grateful. And in the long term, I would like to get my MPH, a master's in public health, uh, and just continue to work in this field and serve because I think this allows me to be versatile. I won't get bored of doing one thing because each client or patient or whatever the agency I work for may refer to them at that time, it's a different project, you know. And in the long term, I would like to start my own agency. And not necessarily something big, but a small agency that can open its doors to help people that are suffering from a variety of problems, and I can train other people in some of the things I've learned, so that the ball doesn't stop rolling when this generation goes away.
Excellent. So our final question today is, what would you say to someone who's watching this, who's considering a career as a community health worker? What words of advice would you give them?
Well, the first thing I would say is be prepared for anything. You got to learn how to keep your face straight because you're going to see and hear some things that you may not have seen or heard where you come from. And if you do have learned experience in some things, um, look at it as an asset. But however, never put your own learned experience on your patient or your client. That's one piece of advice I give. Another one is remain teachable. Um, None of us is the end all be all. Um, Sometimes you will be told some things about yourself that you may not like, but 99.9% of the time it's to help make you better. And never stop training. Research, 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 research. You run across a person out here with a condition that you don't know anything about, educate yourself. Yeah, it will make you better at what you do. And last but not least, don't ever let anybody sell you short. If the agency you're working for don't want to pay you for what you're doing, there's somewhere else you can go, always.
Well, that was so excellent, phenomenal. Thank you for your hard work, your honesty, your transparency, your commitment to our communities and our families. It is really felt and it is really appreciated. And that's why we wanted to do a spotlight on you. So thank
No
you
problem
very,
at all,
very
Tanikka.
much.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. I have to tell you so that the people that are watching to know, it's the work that you put in, you and Mary, and the other people down there in Columbus. That you're always looking for more stuff to add to the class, to equip us and have us ready. You know, because I feel that the class that's coming behind us, they're gonna be better. They're gonna be better than we are, because you all have gained more information to give them. So from Cleveland to Columbus, nothing but love.
Number love. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.